What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm here to talk about whether or not grad school is worth it or the right call for you. With all that's going on in our lives right now, with lockdowns and quarantines, we all have an added stress that we don't want to worry about, especially if you're looking to graduate. Looking for a job can be a job. So with so much uncertainty, hiring freezes, and not knowing what our lives will look like in a few short weeks or months, the thought about going to grad school starts lingering in the back of our minds as a safety net. You start thinking about how much better continuing your education might be as opposed to entering an uncertain job market. The essential benefit behind going to grad school is to specialize or learn more about a certain practice. And while going to grad school can be a great option for many, it really depends on your reason for wanting to pursue an additional degree. If you're a pre-professional student, then going to med school or law school is necessary if you do want to become a lawyer or doctor, for example. But if your line of work doesn't require that extra education, it's really important to think about the costs and benefits behind going to grad school. Stick around till the end to hear about how you may be able to go to grad school for free. For many in college, we're used to the idea of just being in school. If you think about it, we start our education when we're about 5 years old in kindergarten or preschool and end up graduating college when we're about 22. So for the entirety of our lives, we're used to sitting in a classroom and taking notes and having our summer breaks or winter breaks come around. So being nervous about starting the next leg of your life professionally can be a little daunting. I remember the anxiety I had during my senior year of college when friends and family would ask me, "What are your plans after you graduate?" And just coming up with, "Oh, we'll see," because I was worried about the job market amidst the pandemic, along with some other factors as well. Unlike some of my colleagues, I didn't have a job lined up after college, and transitioning careers into consulting was tough. There were two main factors that I considered when the idea of grad school started to come up, and that was the time and money. You'll be spending 1 to 2 more years in school and investing thousands of dollars on an extra degree in hopes that it may one day open an extra door for you. And unlike being an undergraduate, financial aid isn't an option when you are considering grad schools. But I do also want to add that there are great opportunities with going to grad school, like specializing within a certain practice or even having a higher salary when you are getting a job. In many instances, applying to grad school will require the same process that required you to go to college. You might need to take the GRE or GMAT, write essays, find letters of recommendation, and so much more. If you'd like me to break down the difference between the GRE and GMAT in another video, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Just like when you were deciding where you wanted to go for college, consider the grad schools you are applying to as well. Are they reputable for the program you're applying to, and how will they impact your job prospects? You go to school to get a job or find a profession based on what you study, not just to come out with a bachelor's or master's degree. If you're looking at working at certain companies, see how the hiring process is for that given school. I remember being invited to recruiting events at Deloitte or KPMG, for instance, at USC, but didn't hear too much from McKinsey, for example. Depending on what you're wanting to study in grad school, see which companies are mainly hiring recent graduates. Now, you might be asking, "Ryan, where can I find this information?" And that's a great question. You can do this in two ways. You can either do this by researching or networking. My two favorite things. Research online where companies tend to hire from. This can be done on LinkedIn and some other job hiring platforms, as well as on that company's website sometimes. Also, network with recent graduates at that school and see what they're up to. What did they think of their education? Was it worth it? If you're spending time and money, you're really hoping that it does pay off. Before deciding to go to USC, I researched and networked around. I learned more about the Viterbi School of Engineering as well as their biomedical engineering program. And I networked with friends from high school to hear about their experiences to see if it was what I was looking for, especially in a school and major. I'll leave a link below to my other video where I talk about choosing the right school as well. For me, the USC network has always welcomed me with open arms. I'd go to social gatherings, and when people would realize I also graduated from USC, we'd click. Even when I'd reach out via LinkedIn for informational interviews, that extra fight on sometimes went a long way. Again, this was just my experience, and I'm not getting paid by USC to say this. In fact, I'm still having to pay them for my education. Also, be sure to share and subscribe so that you don't miss my networking series starting next Monday. You'll learn the ins and outs when it comes to networking and the secrets schools and companies don't want you to know. Also, when considering grad schools, look at that school's length and cost. That extra year could cost you more than the benefit itself. In fact, let's do some quick math. Assume you're making $100,000 before going to grad school. Now, let's take for instance a program that's full-time in 2 years and costs $50,000 a year. So with that math, it would be $50,000 a year times 2 years, which is $100,000. So you're thinking it's probably going to cost somewhere around $100,000. Well, you're wrong. You're also not accounting for the salary you're missing out on for those 2 years. So in essence, you're actually investing $300,000 for that extra education. Again, there are many factors that need to be taken into consideration, but this is just a very general rundown. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video how you can go to grad school for free. Certain companies cover your educational costs either by a certain percentage or your entire tuition for pursuing a master's or MBA and returning to that company. By doing this, it benefits you and the company. The company is getting a better educated employee and you're getting a cheaper or free education. The trade-off is that you'll have to return for an extra couple years after receiving your degree for that company and work it off, which in my opinion can be worth it. I've considered grad school, and with what I mentioned earlier and the uncertainty in our lives, having some work experience prior to going back to school is what I'm looking for personally. Maybe my company will sponsor my grad school endeavors one day, or maybe my career trajectory may change, which are both entirely fine. What I want the main takeaway of this video to be is that grad school is right and necessary for certain people, but not everyone. Researching and networking will help you out with this decision, but if you'd like specialized guidance when it comes to making such a big decision, then visit my website, Ryan Rafi, to schedule a one-on-one appointment to learn more. Thanks, until next time.